Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host, Gershwin, and today we're going to be talking about one of the few times that Space Marines and Thunder Warriors went head-to-head, known as the Insurrection of Cerberus. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We post Warhammer 40K lore videos every single day. If you guys have any topics that you guys would like us to create a video about, please let me know what they are in the comment section below. And if you guys enjoy our content, hit the like button and thank our patrons on Patreon. It is because of them that we can do this. Link in the description if you guys want to support us. But with that said, let's get into 40 facts on the Insurrection of Cerberus. During the Great Crusade, the Emperor of Mankind conquered countless planets thanks to his Grand Imperial Army, but more importantly, his legions of superhuman warriors known as Space Marines. The Emperor relied on these tactically superior warriors for most of the Crusade's campaigns. At that time, the Space Marines replaced the brutish soldiers of the Unification War, known as Thunder Warriors. Although incredibly powerful and resilient, the Thunder Warriors were only a means to an end. The Emperor simply needed them to slaughter their way across the techno-barbarian nations of old Earth in order to unify and establish the core of the Imperium of Man. With the coming of the Space Marines, the Imperium prospered under a more controlled yet powerful army. While the opposition was usually crushed in its entirety thanks to the Adeptus Astartes, there were several planets that harbored resentment towards the burgeoning Imperium and would often fight back or revolt after the main force of the Crusade departed. None of these renegade planets were successful, however, and most of the conspirators would be executed or sent to prison. Now, these prisons were unlike anything humanity had ever seen before. Entire planets were turned into detention centers, where the scheming masses of separatists were meant to live out the rest of their lives. One such world was the hollowed-out asteroid prison colony of Cerberus, where the collection of so many resentful anti-imperial prisoners proved to be a volatile mix, and eventually these inmates organized the large majority of the non-authority figures and slaughtered the ruling caste of the prison colony. In the wake of the uprising, 3 million or so indentured inhabitants of Cerberus had risen up and joined the revolt in a state of near-continuous rioting and mob violence. The initial attempts to impose order by the Terran troops of the 22nd Dracos Regiment had been thrown back in disarray, as it became apparent that among the insurrectionists was a renegade cadre of outlawed Thunder Warriors, long thought to be dead, but they called themselves the Dight Tar. With many of the Space Marine legions already assigned to the first expedition fleets and en route to the stars as part of the Great Crusade, the Emperor himself dispatched his warhounds to Cerberus. They had the explicit instruction to reclaim the colony and carry the Emperor's wrath to those who had defied him. And so the Cerberus insurrection became one of the very few instances where Space Marines and Thunder Warriors faced each other in actual combat. The Thunder Warriors proved generally superior in melee, and often killing 3 or 4 Space Marines for every Thunder Warrior's death. The presence of these warriors from the Unification Wars was astonishing to the Imperial savants with knowledge of the biological makeup of the Thunder Warriors. It was believed that these brutal soldiers had significantly shorter lifespans, a trait implanted into their genetic makeup to ensure that they only lived long enough to see Terra conquered by the Emperor, and yet here they were, waging war against the very same empire they helped to create. The Thunder Warriors fought with a thirst for revenge. Even though their war gear was inferior to the Space Marines, their endurance and will was hard to match. The Warhounds were built for close-quarter fighting, and so confidently engaged the enemy within the confines of the tight prison structure. Fighting shoulder to shoulder, the Legion suffered terrible casualties within the first few minutes of the engagement. The Thunder Warriors crushed Space Marine heads with powerful strikes, halting the Warhounds' advance, while the human rebels provided supporting firepower. It wasn't long before the Space Marines switched up their tactics and exploited the Thunder Warriors' Mark I power armor, which was only partially powered, making it weak towards ranged weaponry. Taking complete advantage of this fact, the Thunder Warriors' defense began to fall apart. With great respect for the enemy, the Warhounds pulled back on their desire to meet their foes on leveled playing fields. By doing so, the Space Marines hoped to accomplish the complete annihilation of the Thunder Warriors. Knowing that victory was completely out of their grasp, many Thunder Warriors began a systematic retreat. In their minds, their goal was not to succeed, it was merely to watch the enemy bleed. Nevertheless, the Warhounds attacked multiple access points on the asteroid surface, and after a couple of hours, a signal was received from Praetor Commander Hax that Cerberus had returned to Imperial compliance. When asked by the leaders of the waiting second wave how many prisoners to expect to transfer into custody, Axe replied that he was not ordered to take any. Alvis Scorn, whose command had been part of the second wave, led his regiment in the bleak task of cleaning up the operation in the wake of the Warhound's assault, hunting down any survivors hiding in the tunnels and passageways, of which there proved to be very few. Afterwards, he wrote of his experience in his journals and recorded more than once coming across the hulking carcasses of the armored warriors, often with 3 or 4 dead space marines around him. He wrote of choke points and defense posts covered in blood, and of scores upon scores of insurgents cut down from behind while fleeing in a blind panic, their weapons completely abandoned. The colonel summed up his experience with the following sad commentary. I do not doubt my emperor's wisdom in creating a necessary evil such as these fearsome warriors, nor do I doubt their effectiveness in battle. It remains my fervent hope, however, that though I spend my life making war for the liberation of mankind, that I never again see such inhuman butchery as I have witnessed in the halls of Cerberus. And those were 40 facts on the Cerberus insurrection. If you guys are interested in learning more about the Thunder Warriors, I'm going to put a link to a couple of videos that I've created in the past that go over the Thunder Warriors. Their story is sad, but more importantly, there is a video of talking about potential living Thunder Warriors. And my dream, my hope is that at some point during either Necromunda or the Blackstone Fortress, we will get a Thunder Warrior model. I've seen some really badass kit bashed models on Instagram, but I really want to see like a cool, like gruesome looking Thunder Warrior created by GW and something that might have stat lines and everything like that. Because the fact that he was able to, or that these Thunder Warriors were able to kill World Eaters, that tells you something. World Eaters are supposed to be these savage beasts in melee combat, and for a Thunder Warrior to kill 3 or 4 of them, that's insane. But yeah. If you guys have suggestions for any other topics, please let me know what they are in the comment section below. If you guys enjoy our content, don't forget to hit the like button. It helps out the channel, and it also tells YouTube that you want to see more content related to 40K. So it helps you out and it helps us out. And yeah, thanks for listening, guys. I'll talk to you tomorrow. This was Gershwin with One Mind Syndicate signing out.
Always used to put my freedom first.